So there's something that has basically always bothered me ever since I started playing D&D. And today, I'm Daniel, this is Joe, and we're here to talk to you about the state of alchemy. The specific thing that's always bothered me is that when it comes to alchemy, like, yeah, they've got a couple of potions and things like that in the player's handbook, but you've played an alchemist character. Like, you make stuff up and you have ideas that you throw at the DM, but there's no, like, hard system to it. It's all relying on the DM to come up with, yeah, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea. For a DM that may be less experienced or doesn't really know what ideas you have, it might be a good idea to have something in place like a system where ingredients and things like that have specific effects that you can mix and match. Troll's blood could be used as a good base for a healing potion, so when you use that to make a healing potion, it has a slight bolstered effect and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. That helps put a quest behind what you're making, which always makes a skill more interesting. Rather than me going, all right, I go to the shop and spend 500 gold to make the potion. It's, all right, hold on. I want to make a slightly more effective healing potion, and to do that, I know I need Troll's blood. If I can find a shop with it, it's going to run me around 50 gold. Now, do I go try to find an alchemist shop and hope they have it? Am I even able to get to a big city at this point? Or is that going to be too much travel? Can I take on a troll?
Exactly. That gives that other side of it too. Like, when you go out on an adventure and you're hunting down some monsters and things like that, and you kill some big creature, like you kill this giant basilisk or something. You're not really, most players aren't going to sit there and think, well, what parts of this can I strip out and make it useful? If your alchemy system is interesting enough that people want to collect resources and make good use of it, they might go, oh, hey, their blood is really good for this effect, or if you grind up their scales, it has this kind of property to it, things like that. It gives more use to a creature than just XP source.
Yeah, it'll also give you a more interesting way to base pricing of potions. So how would you balance that? Because it's not always grinding up monster scales and stealing their blood. You also got to have the plant base. How would you deal with that?
Probably the way that I would run it is I would have essentially a table of a whole bunch of different effects and modifiers and bases and things like that are not specific to any one type of ingredient, but when they're in an area, I can have them roll a survival check, or I can secretly roll a survival check or nature check or something to see if they find if there's any sort of rare plants or anything in that area. And the rarer the plant they find with the more powerful effect, the more difficult it is to get that effect working properly in your potion. It's very easy to mess up an ingredient that has to be treated in such a precise way. But when it works out, it's an amazing potion.
So will you ever have negatives to where you're trying to create a greater health potion, but you crit failed? The person doesn't know that it's a bad thing necessarily, but would that turn it into such a negative that it's now a potent poison?
I think that would certainly be an interesting aspect of it. A piece to pair along with that, because that could almost seem unfair. Like, not obviously if they roll a natural 1, they're gonna know that something's up as a player, so the player will probably still won't be too upset. But like for a player that rolls like a 5 or a 6 on the die and they have a decent bonus, but didn't realize that the potion they were making, the ingredients they put in, made that DC way higher than they were prepared for, they might feel a little bit cheated if they go to drink their health potion and it's what kills them. So the kind of thing that I would also do is, certain kinds of potions, they have an almost, or even the ingredients specifically, have an almost like visual or sensory effect to them. So like, your healing potion, the more powerful healing potion, the more it transitions from like a blue to a red healing potion. And they know that something's up when they go to make this potion, and it almost seems a little green or something like that. It gives another way for their characters to catch it before they kill themselves drinking it.
So, say you want to implement that right now. What would you do? How would you warn your players about this? How would you maybe try to encourage someone to take that? Or would you wait for a player to come to you and be like, I really like the idea of being an alchemist? And would you be like, well, hey, I got this whole system for you?
If I were going to run it like almost immediately. I would probably want to work with them first and see what kind of stuff they wanted to do, because I haven't prepped everything for it. I'd see what kind of stuff they're wanting to focus on and make sure I've got a really solid base on that. A thing your character, if they're well trained or anything like that, you may want to also, make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you're pointing out that your character's paying attention to the subtle things about potions that maybe not everyone notices. So like, yeah, a person's your common character might have a healing potion once every couple of days if they have the funds to purchase them, but they're not going to pay attention to the exact shade of red. But a master alchemist could look at a potion and say, that's a bit too dark. That's not going to have the effect that it should, or something like that. Giving them that insight that, oh, there's a lot of thought that might go into this, and the system's there for me to go as in-depth as I want.
Boiling this all down, it comes to you're going to vastly expand what alchemy is and completely redo every potion, essentially.
Essentially, the way that D&D currently runs it is really nice. It's a really nice, simple system that basically anyone can jump into. But I've always personally just really liked a slightly more simulation-esque touch to a lot of this stuff. So for players and parties that want to get a little bit more in depth with things, it could be really interesting to not just say, I make a healing potion. You could say something like, well, I take a little bit of wolfsbane and mix it with some troll's blood and add a couple of these berries, and it becomes this healing potion that heals over time, but it heals a bit more than a regular healing potion would, just because of the different effects that you've mixed together. So, I just want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Wands and Daggers, and I will see you